Are you looking to level up your business and or simply crack the code on how to shift from self-employed to CEO of your business? Wherever you are in your entrepreneurial journey, it's never too early or late to scale, level up, and shift up. Hi, I'm Kelley McNichol, host of the Shift podcast. I'm a business coach, consultant, online educator, brand strategist, and marketing expert. And I'm genuinely so glad you are here. On the Shift podcast, we will share the real talk behind what CEOs need to know and take action on to grow, scale, be and remain relevant and successful, and to help others of you shift from that self-employed grind to leaning into and holding that position as the CEO of your company. So let's dig in and start taking massive action. Today on the show, we have Pamela Peter and Mackenzie Armstrong. Mackenzie is a Pinterest strategist that empowers bloggers and podcasters such as myself to populate their courses and expand their audience using Pinterest organically. Mackenzie is a former educator turned Pinterest strategist. She loves to quote Johnny from Dirty Dancing, "Nobody puts baby in a corner." She says, don't hide your podcasts and your blogs on your website and social media. That's why Mackenzie loves to teach bloggers and podcasters to pack their courses with their ideal clients using Pinterest so they can feel relieved and confident that they're reaching the right people without continuous posting. She says that Pinterest is an underused strategy for most businesses, and she wants you to be a trailblazer, and she will show you how. Pamela Peter is a conversion copywriter and founder of The Heart Copy. She helps heart-centered coaches and course creators inspire brand loyalty and drive conversations through authentic and highly persuasive sequences and other sales funnel copy. Pamela believes in leading with empathy, in authenticity, and uses those same values in helping her clients build strong connections with their customers. So welcome to the show today, ladies. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you, Kelley.
Thank you. Mackenzie, I mean, I'm sure anybody who knows me knows exactly why I picked both of you. So to be on the show today, tell me about Pinterest, because I've been hearing a lot about this for coaches. Obviously, it would make sense if as coaches we're blogging or podcasting, that still applies. To me, Pinterest seems like a place to go look at photos and you collect pins and maybe think of ideas how to design a room. So I wonder if you might be able to touch a little bit and tell us how Pinterest is useful for business.
For sure. Okay, great. So Pinterest is an awesome platform. So I like to think of Pinterest because Pinterest is a visual search engine. It's not considered social media, even though it does have a little bit of social media aspects to it. But ultimately, it's a search engine. So I like to think of Pinterest as you're creating a graphic that's the billboard for each piece of your each one of your pieces of your content. So say you have that blog post or podcast, you're able to create a graphic that will help people, that will catch people's eye and help people then click on your graphic and go right to your website. So think of it as a vehicle to get from that picture to your website. So it's a way to entice your audience and readers to go over and see what good little tidbits that you have to share with them. And I would say, especially after COVID, people are like, oh no, I don't know what I'm going to do with my career, because, as we have learned that not everything is set in stone, especially with careers and such. But it's a great place for businesses to go and show other people what they have to offer and how you can also grow as a person, not necessarily as our next DIY project. So Pinterest is a great place that you go and become inspired. And that's really what their main goal is to inspire other people to go out and live and lead their best lives. And that could be that DIY project, that could be your next birthday party, but that can also be, I want to start a business, or I need some wellness tips for myself and things like that. So I really like to inform people that Pinterest is a great place for you to grow in all aspects of life, whether that's business, wellness, excitement, parties, things like that.
So then let me ask you, as like as a business coach, right? My niche, if you want to call it that, would be in brand strategy. So not your logos, not your websites, right? But like the core essence of your business, where it is today, where it'll be tomorrow, and going forward in the future. How would I use Pinterest to like connect and inspire with my potential clients? Yeah. How would you do that?
For
I
sure.
mean, I just don't like, I can't, maybe I'm thinking maybe too much in the sense of words. I mean, when I look up, I don't even see a business category inside Pinterest to look at.
So for sure. So Pinterest is all about, because it's a search engine, it's all about those keywords. So I, as a business owner, might be like, okay, so I want to grow next year in my business. So let's go on Pinterest and look up business strategy. And as long as you're using those keywords that you think that your audience, or that you've done the research and that your audience is using, and the language that they're using, you're able to put that into the search bar in Pinterest and research what words that you want to add to your descriptions and your titles of each piece of your content, each blog post or each podcast that you have. That's going to really resonate with your audience and be like, hey, Kelley has this great, Kelley really hit all these keywords that I'm using when I'm searching. Let me go overhead and look at her content, and let me click to her podcast and go listen to her podcast. And that leads them down the rabbit hole of like, so she had really good little tidbits of information that I can apply to my business strategy. Now let's kind of dive deeper on her website and see what other topics that she has to offer, or other insights that she has to offer that I can apply to my business strategy and my business moving forward. So that way I can grow next year and years to come, to make sure that to make sure I can grow my business how I want it to grow and how I want it to prosper.
So in like, are people say in my field, in general, would they be posting like Canva type pieces, or is it more short videos, or can you even do short videos on Pinterest?
For sure. So Pinterest is all of those things. So just like, think of it also kind of like a little bit of Instagram, where you're creating that graphic that people are connecting to, that static image, the image that doesn't move. And that links specifically back to each blog post or podcast that you're putting out. Now, they also have the ability to have idea pins, which doesn't necessarily click from Pinterest to your website, but it's a short video or short slideshow that you can really answer a specific question for your audience. So like, we'll say, using it in terms of business strategy, you might have 5 tips that you help your audience kind of start to hone in on their business strategy. So you're able to put 5 slides or 6 or 7 slides that depict those tips that you want your audience to learn. And you can incorporate video, you can incorporate still images, you can just incorporate text if that's what you want to do. And if that's what is resonating with your audience. But it's like an easy, quick, it kind of helps you establish that like, know, and trust factor of, okay, I really learned something from this quick little 60, 90-second slideshow that she's created. Now let me go to her Pinterest account and really see what she has to offer. And like, really think of Pinterest as like the top of your funnel. It's really getting those people from Pinterest to your website. And then once they're in your website, you're able to sit there and nurture and really grow and add to that like, know, and trust factor that you want your audience to have and to pull from your brand.
I really appreciate that analogy you just gave at the end about thinking about it as like the top of your funnel. I kind of say that a little bit too with like branding and what's niching, because people are so caught up with niching down. And I describe it, the sales funnel, like the concept of a funnel in sales has always been there. It's not always been this digital product, but I always describe it as like the front door to your house. So your niche is like the front door to your house, your office building, and you've got to pick the color. Is there windows? Do you have a planter out front? A welcome mat, all of those pieces. And if that's visually appealing to them, then hopefully they're going to want to open up the door and come inside and have a look. And, maybe they like what they see now on the foyer. And so they're more intrigued, and now they want to go and check out the next room and the next room and the next room. And hopefully they come and check out your whole office or whole house, as it were. Right. So I can relate to it on that. That helps it make sense to me. Before I move on here to ask Pamela some questions too, but let me ask you, because I'm actually sure Pamela's going to ask you this as well, but statistically, like, do you know what the stats are of like Pinterest being used for that reason, like actually generating business in more of a business sense, right? So in wellness and stuff, I can see that making a lot of sense, because obviously people might be looking up things to do with like wellness, yoga, and that seems to be a good place to get those ideas. But on a more kind of business or, kind of numbers level marketing, admin type side of things, is there statistics of growth in that area, especially in
So
times?
for sure. So Pinterest just put out a few statistics. So 400 million people visit Pinterest monthly. So just thinking about being able to get your content in front of just a fraction of those people, you're really able to broaden your audience reach. Now I don't have specific stats for like each individual like niche or topic, but a few years ago, it was predominantly women that were on Pinterest, but now that is starting to even out to where it's 60-40. So 60% women, or 60% women, 40% males. So that kind of also helps you kind of bridge the gap of like what is being searched on Pinterest as well. Now I will say after COVID, there has been a larger uptick, and I know this just by what is trending on Pinterest and what like topics they're telling people to touch base on, that it is growing in that business factor, just because people are wanting that ability to be a little bit more stable with what they're doing with their everyday life versus like financially and things like that. Like, how can I create that side hustle? How can I, move from that inner office CEO or a cubicle to CEO of my own business and things like that. So there is that. And then also 80% of companies on Pinterest are unbranded. So you're not going up against those national brands like Coca-Cola and Nike and Adidas and things like that. You're going up against, it's kind of everybody's on an even keel, because it's a search engine, it's based off of those keywords. So if you're hitting those right keywords that your audience is wanting and gravitating towards, then your content is going to be pushed up further and further up the page to where it's going to be seen more by people, because you're really honed into what your audience is wanting and what they're wanting to see. So that's the great thing about Pinterest, is like you're not going up against these huge brands. Everybody's kind of on an even playing field for those types of things.
That's really interesting to know. I was talking with somebody recently about websites, and I was saying that years ago I had done my own website, and clients who were finding me, globally, were like always so surprised that I was coming up high, always in the searches, like top page, first top 3. And I didn't use anybody to write it. It was totally shoestring budget. But I did look up keywords and things like that. And so that's why I was able to do that. Could I do that now on a website? No, I mean, I'd absolutely need help to be able to start ranking. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff. As everybody knows, the algorithms are constantly changing. It feels like it's a super duper moving target. So I do find it super interesting to know that, at least for now on Pinterest, that it makes it a little more even playing field for people. So thank you so much for sharing that with me, because that does clear things up for me, and like how myself as a coach, and I'm sure lots of people listening who maybe aren't aware of the powers of Pinterest. So yeah, thank you for that. And I saw Pamela look like you were taking a lot of notes. So I don't know if you were learning a lot of stuff that I was too.
I definitely am. I picked up a lot.
Yeah. I wonder if you can tell us, because I haven't asked you this, and you and I have talked quite a bit actually, Pamela. How did you get into doing this, like into doing copy, specifically to wanting to work with coaches and course creators? What brought you into this field?
First of all, I got into copy I've always been a writer and I love to write. I write like pieces. I love to journal and, share my thoughts and experiences on my social media. And like, it's a thing that people always respond to, the way I express with words. And again, with things changing in the past 2 years, I started to look for like a much more fulfilling way to serve. I've always served as a photographer. I've always worked with brands anyways, but like to create visuals as a photographer. But then I started craving like something more in line with what I truly enjoy. And that's how I got into copywriting. But I think I just found myself wanting to work with coaches and course creators, maybe from a personal, like maybe I'm a little bit biased just because I have personally learned so much from courses on the internet. And there's always people trying to sell stuff to you on the internet, but I've met like some genuinely passionate people that want to they really want you to learn. And I have learned from them. I've gained so much. I've broadened my horizons, and it just felt right to me to want to add value to those kind of people. And which is why, like, in as much as I'm working with coaches and course creators, I try to emphasize on working with people that truly care for what they're doing. Because you can write really great copy, and if the brand you're writing for isn't actually delivering, or they don't actually have any value, it falls short at the end of the day, because they are not keeping to their end of the deal. But when I find like coaches and people that actually genuinely care, it's like a match made in heaven, because then great copy meets actual value, and it's fireworks. So yeah.
That's great. And you certainly know how to write, because I was totally drawn in with just when you said, like, I don't remember what the language was. I think it was in some Facebook post or something, and you were sharing.
Yeah.
It was something about writing with heart. And I'm sure lots of people have used a combination of words, but there was just something about like how you wrote it that I was like, this is a person I have to reach out to, because right. I did feel it. Like I could feel it. And I think that that's important. And for all of us, like we want people to really feel, that we're not just out there trying to like, I don't know, throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks and all of those kinds of fantastic things. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just not my personal model or values. So, not that there's anything wrong with that. I don't want to upset anybody today. Okay. So we are going to move into this part of our show where I like to call it the seeker and solver portion. So again, I always say, if we're going to be successful, it has to be well-rounded. So just because I'm not good at making websites does not make me a good brand strategist, right? So I'm always looking to grow in all areas of my life, personal or professional. So today I brought Pamela and Mackenzie together because Mackenzie had expressed interest in kind of upping her game on copywriting and really writing from an authentic place. And also she's added some new services to her business. So she's looking to reach out to her already like engaged clientele, connections, network of people, and maybe start warming them up and letting them know a little bit more that she's added some new stuff, what that stuff is. She doesn't want it to feel salesy. So Pamela's a good fit for that. So with that, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys I'm going to even mute myself here, because this is like for you guys to go and create. So I want you guys to talk about this together. If I have anything to add in, I will, but mostly I'm just going to be trying to learn and listen as you go. So I'm going to let you guys kind of take this.
Okay, great. So Mackenzie, I'm really excited to be doing this with you. Like personally, I've used Pinterest, but I mostly use it for, just like visual ideas. and all of that. But like every now and then I would find myself like clicking on a picture or something I find of value, and it takes me to a page. So I've thought about it like, oh my God, this is actually a great lead generation system, but I never know how it works. So it's really interesting to, gain insight from you as well today.
Awesome, awesome. Yes, I'm always trying to tell people or let them know that this is a great avenue for lead generation and just pulling from a wider audience of people that you normally wouldn't reach.
Mhm. Right. So let's talk a little bit about what you want in terms of like what you would like to create. We're looking at an email or a few emails, really.
For sure, yeah. So I would love to inform either past clients or people that have reached out about my services prior to really kind of show them that I've added a new service that might be something that they would really like. So previously, or even now, I offer monthly Pinterest management, but I'm offering a new service to where it's a Pinterest VIP day. So over a 2-day period. I'm able to go into the back end of their accounts and get everything optimized to where they don't need that Pinterest strategist anymore. They're able to take over their Pinterest account and Pinterest marketing with only 4 to 5 hours a month of having to be in Pinterest and creating those graphics and things like that.
That's amazing. So just to be clear, with the Pinterest VIP day, which is like a new offer, the clients won't exactly need you to manage their accounts monthly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So ideally, what I've set it up to do is they're able to either do it themselves with that 4 to 5 hours, or they're able to pass it off to a virtual assistant who necessarily doesn't have that background or that Pinterest strategist background. And they're able to still continue to they're able to grow their audience because all of the stuff is done in the back end of the account, like the optimization and the strategy. And then I provide that strategy for them moving forward. So they're able to really kind of implement it themselves without having to add hours and hours on their caseload or their workload.
Right. Sounds really good. Are there any other new offers you would still like to let them know about? Or would that be it?
For sure. No, but I am also continuing. I want to also put back out there that I am still doing the management if that's something that they're looking forward for or looking for. So the management, I also offer like strategy sessions and things like that. So that way, if they decided that they wanted to take it over again themselves, that we could have strategy sessions and kind of reiterate what has changed on Pinterest, if there's anything new they need to consider doing within their account to keep their account growing and on the upward scale of growing the audience.
Great. Sounds good. I think I would like to know a little bit more now about the people that will be receiving these emails. Are they already in your subscriber list? What I mean is, did they subscribe to your list, or are they like past clients? And
so these would be past clients or people that have reached out about services, but not necessarily went forward with the services. They decided that they could either do it themselves or that they were going to take a different route for a different platform and things like that.
okay, great. So do you have an email list already? You have an email subscriber list?
Yeah, so I have a small list already, but these people are not technically like, it's kind of like a separate list because I don't have
Okay.
the current clients on my like regular list, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which I should probably add them to the list
Yeah,
anyway.
yes, you totally should. But I'm thinking like when it comes to emailing people on a list, it is usually advisable that you get their consent for them to be on your list. Like they have to say, yes, I agree to receiving emails from you. Yeah, so else like the whole effort kind of backfires because they did not sign up to receive those emails. So off the top of my head, I'm thinking maybe you may have to kind of give them something like the client lists that are not yet on your subscriber list. You may have to kind of give them something free, maybe like make
Okay.
like a lead magnet or something, like a nice document with like some, I don't know what exactly it would be, but something valuable, maybe, how to find the right keywords for your business on Pinterest, something, and you could send that out to them as the first email to say like, hey, I have something free for you, and da 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 da. But then like click here to get that, and then that will take them to your page where they have to subscribe on your list to get that. So I'm thinking you may have to think about giving them something like a freebie to then get their consent to be on the list.
For
Can
sure.
I ask
Okay.
one quick question?
Okay.
Can you not just, I mean, if you have their email, I assume you're okay to email people. It's kind of how I think about it. So again, this is questions and you can tell me why I'm, where it's wrong or whatever. But could you not just have these people on your list, and then even with your first email, just leave almost like a disclaimer at the bottom saying, if you're not interested in receiving these, that's okay. By basically not unsubscribing, you're essentially subscribing. Can you do that? Or
I mean,
I think about the journey and I think, man, if I've got to get them to go and I'm asking them, to me, the point of a connection and a customer journey email and getting them interested is to make it as easy for them as possible. So I'm thinking if I can avoid where I'm sitting there going, here's a lead magnet, that you may or may not ask for, and please click on it. And then now I'm getting you in that way. So I'm just wondering if there's another way to kind of go around it that feels like I'm not asking them to necessarily do something. Yeah, I don't know. Or if maybe that's illegal. I don't know.
it's not exactly illegal, but when you sign up for the email marketing softwares, they would even tell you to make sure that whoever you send these emails to have given their consent. It is like part of the rules. Say you need to have ask for consent by them saying, oh, hey, yes, I agree to being on this list and receiving emails. And also just like on a personal level, when people receive unsolicited emails, it has a negative effect because they're like, I did not sign up for this. Although in Mackenzie's case, you could argue that they have been clients before now, and they've had first contact with you. But I think there needs to be a level of awareness that they are getting on your list. So if you don't want to do the free thing, you still need to, you can still just send an email saying, I would like you to be on my list and whatnot. And like you just suggested, Ken, but they need to be aware of being added to your list. So, Mackenzie, I'm not sure what you think about that in terms of going forward with the, coming up with a freebie, or we could come at it as Kelley just suggested by, just sending an email, maybe something valuable to talk about, and then giving them like a PS and oh, hey, if you don't want to keep receiving emails from me, then please subscribe, but then else, you keep receiving emails. What do you think about that?
No, for sure. I have a Pinterest audit checklist that I've already that's how I've also grown my email list is that. But I definitely have another thing that I could also make a freebie that kind of helps them create their descriptions or pin descriptions.
What would that be?
So I have a pin description formula that kind of tells them hey, this is how you find your keywords. You want to write it in a few sentences, add a call to action. And here's also another place that you could add a few other keywords to help you get your reach. So it kind of helps them create that 500 character pin description that they would add with their graphics on Pinterest.
Okay, great. So you would call that a pin description guide?
So I have it as my pin description formula because it's taking different things and adding them together.
So so if you were to pick one of these freebies, what would it be, the description formula or the Pinterest audit checklist?
I would think maybe the audit might be a little bit of an easier gateway into introducing the other. It might be like, hey, look at this audit and see if you check all these boxes. If not, then you might still need me to come in and reevaluate things in your account, kind of, if that makes sense.
Right. I feel like in terms of what adds the most value, what will be like the one thing that they would really want to get? What would that be?
Well, they kind of go hand in hand. So the audit kind of makes sure that their account is optimized and they're reaching the right people, but then also the pin description is making sure that that specific pin is reaching the correct audience. So they're kind of like,
Hand in hand.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, if you ask me, I would go for the pin description formula. Just
Okay,
because,
that's fine.
just because whoever opts in for this is definitely a qualified lead. They're definitely in there in Pinterest and they have like enough interest to kind of need more of your services in the long run. So I would
Okay.
definitely go with the pin description formula.
Okay, sounds good.
So great. So on that note, I think we would say that our first email will be to offer a freebie. So I'll just quickly write that down. So the email one will be a freebie delivery email. And then we kind of have to walk our way down to your offers. So just in a few more emails, we should be able to kind of lead them towards your offer. So again, off the top of my head, I would say, I think I'd like to ask about the clients that you have worked with in the past. Would it be possible to kind of highlight, maybe speak to one person and, use them as a case study, or if you have like an interesting story in terms of a client that you've worked with and the results that they got, that would be a great follow-up email to say, like a case study email.
Okay. So I worked with a copywriter and branding strategist.
Mm-hmm.
So she was able to grow her account. Ideally, what we look for in Pinterest is we're looking for that 2 to 5% monthly, because Pinterest is a slow grow, but it's a long sustaining growth. So she was able to grow her account. I want to say about 5% each month. Now that give or take each month. And she was able to gain back 8 hours plus, to focus on her zone of genius and her clients that she had already had, because I was able to take over that Pinterest management for her and she wasn't needing to worry about that anymore. Is that what you're looking for?
Yes,
Okay,
definitely. That sounds great because it's a case study. It is literally showcasing social proof, which you want to do with your emails, because that's one of the fastest way for people to see that this works. And it also places you as an authority and builds more trust with your prospects. So that's great. So for the third email, I would like to ask, since this is like introducing them to your new offers, I would like to ask if um, you are open to kind of giving like a discount, maybe for a short period of time. Because from the third email, I think we should start thinking about crafting like an offer that is kind of, irresistible. And so I want to ask if you're open to discounts, maybe
so
just for the period of the emails.
So maybe not a discount, but what I would do is, so in my base offer of what I'm offering for the VIP day is I offer 2 weeks of support afterward. So I would definitely up that to maybe a month support afterward. So like adding a whole month of extra support when it comes to implementing their strategy and uploading and getting their account rolling for lead generation.
Do you think there are any other bonuses that, in terms of like maybe pieces that you have created, that you think you could add on there that is at no cost and is sustainable? Is there anything that you can think of that you can maybe add to this as a bonus that doesn't take away from like your time and all of that?
For sure. So I could also even throw in, I have a few PDFs that kind of go through the workflow that they would have to implement, and kind of helping them think about what their future content would be, as well as I have a checklist that is weekly, bi-weekly, and monthly of what they really need to be focusing on within their account.
That sounds really good. So maybe we could craft this offer and say maybe for a period of 1 week, if they take advantage of, it's a new offer and you're just launching it. So maybe we could say for depends on what sits good with you, like a week or two or 24 hours, whatever. They could get, the VIP day, but then instead of 2 weeks worth of support, then they get a whole month, as well as like a content Pinterest content strategy map or something. So what would that be like for you? 1 week? How long do you think you would like to run it for?
I think a week would be fine. I think that would
Okay.
be a week would be good.
So sounds good. So we are going to be doing a re-engagement email sequence. I'm not sure that's what it is, but re-engagement email sequence. What is the name of your business? Just Mackenzie
Armstrong Virtual Solutions.
Great. I think I should be able to send you a link and. So you should have 4 emails. Hold on. So we have email 1, which will be the freebie delivery email. We have email 2. This will be case study email. Email 3. I think email 3 should be the email to properly introduce the offers. So I would call it offer introduction. And then the last email, email 4. Still an offer email. So at this point, I think we should work on the outline of each email just to have like an idea of what they're for and all of that. So I usually have to put down the send days for each email. So that kind of guides like, what email goes on what day. So send day 1. Send day 1. Mackenzie, feel free to, jump in wherever you need to add something or any of that.
For sure.
Great. So we will state out the primary goal for email 1. Primary goal for email 1 will be to connect, reconnect, and re-engage with past clients and prospects. You know what? Actually, I think that the primary goal is to get them back in your subscriber list. So I'll just, get past clients into email list. And then this is the secondary goal. So this just kind of helps us see, like, have an outline and a direction for the emails. And I usually like to have an angle. This is just basically the message and, where I'm coming in from with the email. So the angle is literally just hold on one second, get past clients into the emails, and of course, and deliver the freebie. There's really no angle to this, just, share the freebie, share the pin description formula. And also I like to put down what the call to action would be. And normally I like to lead, it is advisable to lead with just one call to action in each email, just so that you don't confuse people, because when there's too much CTAs, it gets confusing. And if you have to have more than one CTA, it's advisable to maybe look at putting the second one in a PS line after the main email is done. So the call to action for this email will be to download the freebie. So, and then we're going to go to email 2 and do the same thing for send day. We could give this a day after the lead magnet and say send day 3. So one day after the first email goes in. Primary goal of the case study email. Please excuse my formatting. When I'm done writing, I usually go back and then, format properly. So primary goal for the case study email will be to showcase social proof and build authority. Secondary goal will be to prime prospects for upcoming offer. And the angle, which is basically what, how we're coming at the email, what the contents are. The angle here will be to share your client story. I'm sorry, what is her name? The copywriter and the brand strategist.
Courtney.
So we will be sharing Courtney's story and her success results working with the Armstrong virtual solutions. So this is really just to, for when you go in to write the emails, kind of guide the process. The call to action for this. So I feel like because we don't need to ask them to click on any link just right away. I think a great call to action will probably be to remind them of the freebie for if they haven't gotten it yet, just so they can, get that. Mackenzie, what do you think so far?
No, that sounds good. I like that.
Okay. My prospect.
May I also just say that it's really nice to see that it's not just me who all when I'm typing is constantly going back. I know there's not two ends at the end of connection.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so for email 3, I think we can send this on the next day, just to kind of keep the momentum going. Send day 4. So the primary goal for email 3 should be to talk about the new offers. And I think the secondary goal, same thing. Talk about new offers. Same goal. And the angle we can come at this from will be to share the benefits of, the offer. So of course, like break down what this is about, break down what the VIP day is about, but also coming at it from what the benefits would be like, how that would show up in the prospect's life. So not just saying that the VIP days will, it means like you don't need to have a strategist and all of that, but really just going in to show them what that will mean for them. So it's like, oh, you free up this amount of your time or whatever it is. So really just break down the features and the benefits.
Okay.
Yeah. Of the offer.
So do you think I should throw in like statistics in there as well? Like with the 400 million people visit Pinterest monthly, like you could be a part of that group. Like you could be seen by by a fraction of like you could be seen by those people.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Okay. I really like that. I'm thinking maybe that's a really great idea. I think we can lead with that as the angle for the last email.
Okay.
Yeah, we can definitely lead with that as the angle for the last email, and come share statistics about Pinterest. So for the fourth email, that's where we build off of 400. Hold on. So email 3, we have the angle, and then the CTA. So normally, how do your clients or prospects, how do they connect with you when they're ready to work with you? Is it via a consultation call, or they have to fill a form?
It would probably be fill out of, or it could either be book a discovery call or fill out the VIP day interest form.
So what would be?
Let's do the interest form, because that kind of gives me a bit more information on where they're coming from, so I can make sure that they're a good lead prior to jumping on a call with them, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay, great. So fill out.
Or even also share with anyone who might benefit. Like share with your audience, or if that's that's the call to action for the fourth one or whatever.
So we could have that in a second line as the PS line. Have that in a PS line as the second call to action. Share with anyone interested.
Perfect.
And then so for the last email, send day, that will be day 5. Primary goal will be to share details of the offer, and I'm thinking of a better word, a better phrase to use than make a sale. But for lack of that, I would just write make a sale. If you have something better to put in there, but convert. Secondary goal, same. Share details. Angle. So for this, so I normally add something I call the hook. So really just what in copywriting and marketing terms, what psychological trigger to work with to kind of help inspire the desire to act. So which is why I spoke about the offer and how we should come up with something. So I think for this, for the hook here, we can use what is called the scarcity hook. in copywriting, which is just like a psychological trigger that is used to make people act fast, because as humans, we kind of respond to urgency. So when something feels urgent, it makes us want to act faster, as opposed to, waiting till the very last day, which is what we would normally do because we procrastinate as humans. So the hook here will be scarcity, because this is where we talk about, share details of the offer, including the scarcity, the 1 week, bonuses, and
Support.
support, and 1 month worth
Mm-hmm.
of support, including the 1 week timeline. So the angle, we will be sharing statistics on Pinterest and leading with that when we begin the email. And yeah, but the hook to help kind of inspire the action will be scarcity. And then the call to action to fill out interest form. The PS, we could have a PS line or not that still, says fill out the interest form. Mackenzie, what would you rather have on the PS line to still direct their attention to fill out that form, or refer to others that will need it? I don't know what you think.
I would say the others that need it, because if the call to action is the interest form.
Right.
What would be like when you said hook and you said scarcity, what would be, because that word kind of like I'm not fond of the word personally. So can you explain to me how you would write that scarcity piece, like what that sounds like in a line, say, like that you'd have written?
Right. So
that isn't like a lie. Do you know what I mean? Because like lots of people sometimes are like, oh, if you don't get this now, this is disappearing forever and things like that. And then like a month later, they're like there with the
and
offer
then it
again.
doesn't disappear. Exactly. So which is why, like, for scarcity to be scarcity, there needs to be like integrity behind it. You have to stick to your word. So like with Mackenzie, when you say after 1 week, this goes back to regular 2 weeks worth of support, and then you don't get the 1 month, and you don't get the bonus free content strategy and all of that. You have to stick to your word and let that be that.
Okay.
Yeah. But then the scarcity is literally just us saying, you know what, for this one week time frame, I'm giving whoever gets on the offer 1 month worth of support. And
just that they get those bonuses if they,
and as well as the bonuses. But then after 1 week, it goes back to regular 2 weeks support, and that's it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So I realized that I did not feeling the hook for these other ones. That normally comes to me with a little bit more thought. And for the case study email, the hook I think the hook will be storytelling, because that's another thing that humans respond to. And in this case, we're going to go in, like, dive in a little bit about Courtney's story. And yeah, but when I say the hook is storytelling, you have to kind of come at it as a story to some extent. So instead of just going, hey, I want to tell you about Courtney and her success, and her results, rather. So instead of saying, I want to tell you about Courtney and her, results and all of that, you could come at it from a different angle, like what would, maybe like a question, and like, what would having 8 hours of your time back do for you? And maybe talk about, where Courtney was at prior to working with Mackenzie, and, how, and then leading to her experience working with you. And that's more like story-like than just, throwing what you're saying to them. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
for sure.
Yeah. So when I say hook storytelling, you kind of have to, work in your your points with a story, and it works with the case study email because, I mean, obviously you're already sharing the story. I then have the email body. Actually, I have two more lines before the email body, which are the subject line suggestions and the preview text. But then these are usually the last places I fill in. The subject line suggestions and the preview text are the last places of each email I fill in, just because in as much as I kind of know what the email should be, the emails that you have written kind of give you great suggestions for your subject lines and what the preview text would be. The preview text is that little bit of text you see right under the subject line, you know, when you get a notification that you get an email. And when you don't put the preview text in, your email software will just, you know, pick up the first line of your email and put that in for you, which is not always a great idea because the preview text is like a second chance at making sure that your emails get opened, increasing your open rate. So you could totally like put in something that piques curiosity, and it helps you kind of boost your open rate. So,
and it doesn't necessarily even have to be, because this is what I've noticed anyways in emails I've gotten. The preview text is often what comes up on my banner, like when I see the emails come up, but then I look for it and I realize sometimes that line's actually not even anywhere in the email or the subject line. It's literally, right, this preview text to like add the intrigue. So I am more curious to open it because I might be like, oh, I get 50 gazillion emails from this person like a week, it feels like, right? And then I'm like, oh, you know, it's this, and here's the preview. And then it turns out it's not even in there. So I think that's, where do you put that preview text?
There's usually like a space for it in your email software. It depends on what you're using to send the emails. There's usually a provision, a space for it. And it's such a genius idea because like you said, the emails it doesn't have to be in the actual emails. Literally just a second chance at increasing your open rates. It's supporting your subject lines to make sure that the emails are open. So you should always make use of it because if you don't, the software will just pick up the first line of your email and, you know, fill that in for you. We are going to go into the email body of the work. And so normally before I do this, like write the actual emails, it is advisable to kind of, you know, do a little bit of research into your target audience to kind of know what their problems are. I mean, clearly they want to increase leads and make sales and all of that, but you can get more specific. I sometimes just by going to Quora and, you know, typing stuff related to what you offer, like, can I use Pinterest to generate leads, or I'm having issues with generating leads with Pinterest or whatever, just something related to what you offer. Just sometimes just typing that into online forums and going through the answers, you kind of get to, you know, you see people speaking about their experiences, and that's like such a wealth of information to understand their pain points, their desires, and where they're headed and all of that. And then when I, you know, go through that and really soak in and understand it, you know, the audience to an extent, that informs the way I write. But I'm just going to be working based off of, you know, what I think is there. Actually, Mackenzie, I think if you could share like a little bit of insight into your audience's pain points, like what you think they struggle with, just briefly, and where you think they would love to be at.
So they are feeling burnt out with posting all the time on social media. They don't want to learn a new platform. They don't want to add more stress and more stuff to their plate. They don't want to feel confused, and they want to be able to show up authentically.
So this email is a pretty straightforward one. Deliver the lead magnet, the freebie, and it's the pin description formula. So I think we could start off with saying, sorry,
can I intervene for just a second? Yes, let me ask a question. So Mackenzie, I find, not that I'm going to be writing things because I'm not, I lose patience when I start having to write too much. So, but I find just like watching how Pamela structures it and then thinking about all of those pieces, is super helpful. I'm wondering if, Mackenzie, with all you guys have talked about, and then like her laying out like, you know, all the specifics of each emails, what you might think, like if you were now just given this, what do you think it would be the email that you would write? What would your email body have?
It would say, just, I guess, basically just informing them like, hey, let's make sure I know that you're doing a great job putting your content on Pinterest, but let's just do a little bit of a dive into if you're reaching the right audience or the audience that you want to be reaching. Make sure that, and just kind of maybe go over like quick little snippets of what's in the actual freebie, like, hey, this is how you want to make sure that you're adding in your keywords. You want to make sure that you're putting in your call to action, and you want to make sure that you're writing it in the way that is going to be comparable for your reader to read, but also take into account the aspect of that the Pinterest backend of Pinterest is going to, the computer in Pinterest is going to categorize your content correctly, if that makes sense.
Okay, so how would you start the letter? How would you start that first email?
I guess it would say, are you, like, maybe start with a question like, are you reaching your ideal audience? With the Pinterest, with the pin description formula, the pin description formula freebie really helps you hone in your descriptions, so that way you're using the correct keywords and you're reaching the audience that you want to reach. Pinterest is a great avenue to find your ideal audience, and using this freebie will really.
These are past clients of yours, right?
Yeah.
So, and you're trying to reconnect and re-engage with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, Pamela, tell me if I'm going off in the wrong direction here, but it's assumed then that they've already done some of this, or you've done it for them in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and you're trying to reconnect and re-engage with them, and you're trying to obviously get them to stay onto your email list. So wouldn't your introduction or your like hi, your starting point be like, hey, how are you doing? You know, something along the lines of, we haven't spoken in a while, and I thought I'd check in and see how you're doing. You know, do you feel you're still reaching, you know, your ideal audience or setting those goals? Like, wouldn't that be more the direction you want to go to? Because they're not new clients, right? Who aren't new to what you do. They're existing clients, or people who've mostly they're past clients. So I would think almost that would be the way that you would want to approach them. Like, are you still, and whether you are or not, I wanted to offer you this, right? Here, download the freebie, something like that. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Maybe download the freebie, and if you're not using Pinterest, reignite your account or something like that. I don't know.
Well, so if they're a past client of yours, aren't they all using Pinterest, or no? Some of your past clients are doing stuff not in Pinterest, or?
As long as they're continuing to maintain the account, sometimes that they.
Right, so that's the check-in then. That's the check-in. Like, are you still doing your Pinterest, and are you doing it effectively, right? Because all of those other points you're going to touch on as you go down the line. So if they've stopped using it, right, like why, and then here are the benefits of using it. Here's some of the stats, all of those things. And that's a great offer for them, the VIP day. If they are still using it, you know, are they still reaching the ideal audience? You know, are they still seeing 2 to 5% growth? You know, let me help you out with that. You know, so you're just touching base to see where they're at, see if there's any way you can support them. And that's kind of your reconnect and re-engaging, because that's essentially what you're doing, right? Just to gauge if they need the help. And then at that point, you're like, you know, let me share with you the pin description formula, you know, that I'm sharing. And then from there, there's like, you know, you add that disclaimer somewhere at the bottom, letting them know that essentially, like, if they don't want to receive these emails anymore, they don't have to, that kind of thing. But does that make sense to you, Mackenzie, and to Pamela, like what I'm saying? Like, does that sound, or do you think it should be a different direction altogether?
I definitely I love the direction that this is going. And just, you know, speaking, I totally forgot about giving them the option to unsubscribe, which is very important. So I definitely think that's a great direction to head in. I don't think that we really have to go into the specifics of like what it would do for them. I mean, it's great to touch on that, but they have requested for the freebie. So I mean, that's why they're there. So like the main aim is to just get them to click the download and interact with the piece. And so I don't think that we really have to go in depth, but I really love the direction, and I think that's where we should go to.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, so in saying that, how confident are you feeling about doing, like, being able to write this sequence and, having better copy from this, Mackenzie?
Definitely. I feel pretty good about this. I like that I'm kind of have a outline to follow to make sure that I'm hitting all the pieces that I need to hit, but also making sure that because of how it's everything, all the emails are outlined, I'm able to make sure that there's that flow there, that that it's not just like stop and start with each email, if that makes sense. Like they all kind of flow together and build on each other.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
like that there's like the primary goal, the secondary goal, right? So just like in this one, it's like the primary goal is to get past clients into the email list, right? So basically by giving them the option to unsubscribe, we're essentially, putting them in the email list, and then deliver the freebie. And the secondary goal is to reconnect and re-engage with those past clients and prospects, right? So, and then the whole main thing is really just about sharing that and reconnecting and re-engaging. So you're not trying to sell anything other than just being like, I'm checking in on you, how are you doing? And so I like that every email, it's like showing exactly what it is that you're doing in the email. It's like a touch point. It's like in your business where you have your brand values and your brand mission. It's like always a touch point, should I do this? Should I go for the shiny object over there? Let me go back and look, like, what's my mission? What's my values? And so they're good touch points, I think.
For sure.
And I think two things to also consider when writing the emails. The first will be your brand voice and how you want to sound, how you want to come across. I mean, some people's brand voice is like super formal, on some hello, how are you, and, how has it been, and all of that. Or if you're more like, quirky and hey and hi there, those are things to consider. And when choosing your brand voice, you don't have to sound professional. I mean, the more human you sound, the more relatable it is. So just really think about how you would normally speak to a friend, but not just like, how you would speak normally to a friend, but like still have to consider that element of formality because you still want to come across as a professional. So think about balancing it out. You want to come across as personable and polite and nice. So, I mean, I would definitely, I love to go with hey and the first name, which brings me to the second thing that you should consider, which is this. I don't know, when you do kind of collate your email addresses, I don't know if you have the option to take in the first name, or you just, collect their emails. But if your email software, if your landing page lets you take in the first name, it is advisable that you try to get their first name. And I think the email software usually have like a way that you can write this for it to replace the reader's
usually there's
email
a place
address,
that
first name.
You can input things into, typically. If not, then I guess you figure out another way to do it if you're literally just doing it through
you should totally consider that personalization, because that helps people respond. Like, if I see my name in something versus if I don't see my name in something, I respond faster, especially in the subject lines as well. A great way to increase your open rate would be to have their names in there. So it could be Pamela, here's your free stuff, or here's what you asked for. Something like that would prompt them to open the emails and respond faster. And also, when using the first name idea, you don't want to overdo it. It still has to feel natural. You don't want to go Pamela, hey, Pamela this, Pamela, just make it look natural. And
I just want to wrap up with Mackenzie, like, how do you feel about everything that was kind of created here today with Pamela, and how you're going to move into kind of this perfecting more, honing in more on your copywriting skills?
I think this is very, very helpful. I like that I'm able to see an outline of everything and how it builds upon itself. So it kind of helps me get in the mindset of how I want my emails to actually flow through the entire sequence.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I really appreciate like to just when I'm looking at like Pamela and her questions that she has for us, because I know I've gone through this with her. So I really appreciate how in-depth it is, because that is the way that, she writes with heart, that we're going to learn to be able to really write from this authentic place. Sometimes I think, we might want to rush through it and we don't think about all the aspects. And I think Pamela really, really does. So I want to thank you both for coming on today and doing the podcast with me. And I hope that it was fun and enjoyable for you both.
Totally.
Yes, definitely.
Good. So I'm going to one at a time, because there are two of you, give you a chance to just sign off, tell people how they can reach you, and any offers, anything you want to share as well. We're going to pop those into the links in the show notes and stuff. So why don't we start with you, Mackenzie? Tell everybody how we can get a hold of you and share any other info you want to give us.
Sure. Okay, so thank you so much for having me. I had a great time and I've learned so much. If you want any help with your Pinterest strategy or Pinterest implementation, don't hesitate to reach out. My website is armstrongvirtualsolutions.com, and there's a book a call option there for you. If you want to chat, also, if you want to just email me, it's armstrongvirtualsolutions@gmail.com. I would love to chat with anybody that wants to grow their accounts and help with their audience growth with Pinterest through either management or my new service of VIP Day. So I look forward to connecting with everyone that wants to grow their audience.
Awesome. And I know Mackenzie's probably going to want to share with us any links that she has to those freebies that we were talking about. So we'll share those in the show notes as well. So thank you, Mackenzie. And Pamela, let's wrap up with you and how we can get a hold of you, my dear.
Great. Thank you for having me. This was so much fun. So I'm on Instagram. You can reach me on Instagram and my email. My Instagram is The Heart of Copy. And for my email address, you can reach me at reachpamelapita@gmail.com. I mean, like I said, I help coaches and course creators. So if you're looking to kind of nurture your clients and kind of your customers and build even more like brand loyalty, if you have like products you're trying to launch, I love to write great emails to make that happen, and sales copy. So yeah, do that. And if you just want to connect on Instagram, I love meeting new people as well, even when it doesn't have to do with work. So I'm also like, send me a follow and I'll follow right back.
Awesome. Same here. Ditto that. Thank you, ladies, so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kelley.
Thank
you.
you.
Guys soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey, thank you for listening to The Shift with myself, Kelley McNichol. I would love it if you could go to your favorite podcast app or the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, and leave us a review. Your feedback is always valuable, and it'll help us reach more people and make an impact. So we'll see you back here next week. And remember, you don't always have to know exactly where you're going, but if you get up and show up every day in whatever way you can, and you do it with an open mind and heart, rooted in your values, mission, and with intention, then you will always find yourself exactly where you're supposed to be. I promise.